Hey guys, I hope you all are doing really great and you're having a great day or night. Mine just got ruined. I'll tell you what, actually, I recorded a 50-minute raw clip for this whole day 2 assignment and the audio track was corrupted. I've tried voice overing, but it just didn't align properly. This sucks. Okay, never mind. Coming back to this tutorial, so welcome to today's video. I know I didn't upload any tutorial on day one. My health is not actually good, and you'll see that in my voice. Not see You'll notice that in my voice today. I'll take a lot of pauses actually. Okay, yeah. So starting with today's assignment, day 2 assignment, they have provided as always the companion podcast and the 55 pages long white paper. Okay, so before moving on with anything, I'll tell you one thing. I am a nerd. I'm a big nerd. I am recording this video as a journal for myself so I can come back to this, and if I ever forget anything about today's assignment, I can just view it. So you'll see a lot of places where I'll be explaining stuff like Akshansh, you have to do this. I'll be talking to myself basically. So just please bear with that. I just understand better that way, and I hope you'll also understand better. So yeah, just bear with it. And okay, so I am going to give you a tip for all this. If you don't want to read that 55-page long white paper, you can just open the white paper in the tab, play that video in your background, and as the video progresses, just keep reading the white paper. The video is probably 20 minutes 20 minutes 49 seconds long, if I remember my nerdish memory, if I remember. And we have some 55 white papers, and which 5 of them are just pure introduction. So you cannot read 50 pages of stuff in 20 minutes. You cannot just possibly do that. So for that, you'll have to take a lot of pauses in the podcast or just make the pace slower. But yeah, just try to do these two simultaneously. You'll understand that way. Just try it for once, and if it works for you, go with it. And if it doesn't, yeah, whatever you want, you can do. That's how we know, right? If something is good for it, first we have to try it out. So let's open the 2A. Enough yapping. Let's open Codelab 2A, closing all tab. So yeah, starting with this Codelab, you have this amazing tutorial here. I'll tell you why I love these Codelabs. In files, we have just our code like this, but in Codelabs, instead of comments, you can, like, don't you think this looks beautiful? The emojis here, this title, there's a small text. It just looks beautiful. You can include markdown in your collabs. That's why I really prefer them than these comments on files. Yep, process start. Enough 6 minutes of yapping. So why do agents need tools? This is our problem statement. I'll You can read this. I'll tell you that. So basically, if you remember when you were doing the day once assignment, you might have bumped into the problem that when you were trying to ask your agent about the current situations through the UI, the ADK UI, it wasn't able to answer that. In my case, it didn't work. So they don't have real time information. These tools, now the solution statement, these built in tools help our isolated, our captivated, our introvert LLM to just learn all this stuff. Our introvert LLM goes to them. It asks them about that topic. They socialize on its behalf, and they give it the answer, and the introvert just answers us back. And they didn't have this please read in the previous Codelab, the day one's assignment, probably many people were facing a lot of common troubleshooting as they added it here. So yeah, if you are working on your own environment, not using Kaggle notebooks, you have to run this. Actually, no option for you will have to run this. But yeah, we are running it on Kaggle right now. Okay, you won't see your API key here. You'll have to run your Codelab once for the session to just start, and then only you'll see it. You'll get this error, Codelab wasn't there. You just press OK, go back to add-ons, it will be here. Check mark it. If you don't, you won't be able to access it in your notebook. Let's just wait now. Yeah, setup and authentication complete. For many people the authentication fails actually. In that case, what you can do, just wait for a while, because really stupid thing, I know it's a really stupid thing, but it worked for some people. You can just hard code your API a key. I know I said no, not to do that in my videos lately, but yeah, for development you can do that. But if you are pushing your code to production, basically you are showing your code somehow to the customers, don't do that then. But only I am gonna see this code. Okay, if I weren't recording this video, only I was the one who would see this. So yeah, I could have done it. And let's just run this. I'm sorry. Yeah, so till it's running, let's just see our helper functions. So helper functions are basically functions that are code that our agent will utilize to do small tasks. Okay, uh, I just hate these import statements, take a lot of time. And yep, you can read, and if this code doesn't make sense to you, it's totally fine. It doesn't have to make any sense. And this is, oh yeah, this they added it. I'll tell you what happened was I got a lot of DMs also about it, and was helping people in the server about this. So what happened was, people were getting these HTTP errors, and they were like, how do we solve it? And surprisingly, it just got solved with a refresh. I personally didn't know what was happening there. So yeah, really great that they just added this retry options, right? Really great thing by them, made our work easier, right? Attempts are just 5 to, so basically eventually you'll get it. Okay, so yeah, you can read all this. I'll just explain it to you through the diagram. So basically this is you, the user, and this is the currency agent, that is me. So basically you will give me some currency, complete convert some dollars into rupees. And first, for exchange rate, I'll go here and get fee for payment. Basically, of course, I'll be deducting some fee. So for that, I'll be coming here. If I told you the right way, we'll see later there. They'll tell us why these functions exist. Okay, so first we another helper function we have here, get fee payment. So what this does, look up transaction fee percentage for given pay. Yeah, I was right. Okay, so basically what they're doing here, let me just put my mic down. Basically here they are defining this get free, and you can see their doc strings here, these double quotes, these 3 double quotes up, 3 double quotes down, and all the stuff between it. This is basically doc strings, and Python has this really cool feature. Just a second, let me just explain what this function does. I'll show you that feature. Method, it will accept an input as string, and it will return a dictionary is basically something like this. If you are not aware with Python types, you can watch a tutorial on that. I don't have enough time to explain all that. So yeah, Python has this really cool feature, help function. And if I just do this, and if I copy the name, get fee for payment. Okay, so yeah, also you can see here that the doc strings that we define, if you hover over this function, uh, it didn't appear now. Why? Okay, This time it just didn't appear. I don't know why. Let me just see. Okay, there was some function description thing, but it didn't appear, so let's just quit it. Okay, and we'll use a help function. So help, okay, now you see it output the everything that we have in here. So what this is basically, it is what our agent uses. Our agent runs a help function first, and it just discovers that, okay, my user is trying to do this. My user is trying to do this with the code. They expect this to be the function of this function. Basically, what application that function has, what significance is. We have another helper function, get exchange rates, and yep, it was success. Okay, so now we are configuring our LLM agent. We are configuring it, and we are basically providing it instructions. If the user input includes something like find transaction fees, so get fee for payment method, run this function. If something in currency conversion, run this function. And you can read the other stuff. If status is error, do this, do that. And we of course provided our tools that were our helper functions here. Let's just run this, and I want 500 US dollars to be converted, and yep, it worked. So maybe here you will see these errors coming again and again as warnings. That was what I was facing when I ran this code block for the first time. This is my third time. The second was just bullshit. Never mind. Yeah, the first time it didn't work. It eventually worked, but there were like 25 times the warning was out sent as an output to me. You just gotta wait. Now we are defining our agent in a better way, so we are improving the reliability of this. Basically, how accurate our agent can be. So you might have learned this code in data science. I have heard this a lot of time. If you get an accuracy of 1 out of 0 to 1 in 1 out of 0 to 1, you are cheating. Our agents or any code or even a human cannot be 100% sure about an outcome or a solution to some problem, because it's just uncertain for that to happen. That's why this is our problem statement, and the solution for this is we use built-in tools, basically some built-in stuff that we can implement so that our agent doesn't handle that part, but that built-in code executor happens is handles it, and we just get reliable stuff. Okay, so they're basically just enhancing our pre-built LLM agent with this built-in code executor thing. What do we call it? We call it a tool, right? We call it a agent tool. Yeah. Did we run this? Yeah, we did run this. And then we are enhancing our currency agent with all the previous functions and this new calculation agent thing that we configured here. And yep, you should see some instruction here that you are not going to do the code. Okay, they didn't do it here, I guess. Yeah, here's calculate the final amount, and it generate a Python code to calculate the final amount. We are aware that any code that it generates will work perfectly, but we are not aware that it follows the BODMAS rule for mathematical operations properly. So generate the code, and our built-in code executor will execute that code and give us the right answer. It's just basically we are not trusting our own agent. Trusting would be a big word, maybe you could say we are uncertain about its capabilities. Yeah, so it did. It did give a output and it was right, I hope so. And this code part, yeah, it just outputs this HTML thing. Okay, no, sorry, this is code, it is not HTML. This is the code that was generated by our agent. Okay, yeah, cool. And our code executor ran this code. And agent tools versus sub agents. I'll give you a good analogy for this. So think of agent tools like an HR in a company. You are a say Akshansh. I am a CEO of a Akshansh is a CEO of a company, and there's some other person that is their HR, and Akshansh gives HR some things like stuff that he expects his employees to complete. He won't go directly to each of his employees and say, you have this task, you have that task, until he's a broke startup founder that I will be in some years. But yeah, quit to that. uh, Back to our thing. uh, Akshansh has basically hired HR to do this. So basically this is agent configuration. HR will get the outputs from the employees. It will go, he or she will go back to Akshansh, and Akshansh will say if he wants to exploit his employees again, he will give them harder tasks, or you're done. So you notice that HR didn't approve their outputs on her or his own. They first went to Akshansh, they confirmed it, and only then they were sure about it. Basically, you are giving HR the authority to handle your employees, but not your task entirely. You are giving them for a certain period of time. But sub agents, what you do with sub agents, take it as uh, there are college professors and there are assistant professors also. So when college professors are absent, the students have direct talks with the assistant professors, and assistant professors have it in their uh, right to tell about the conversations to the main professor. It's up to totally up to them. I hope this is how they work. Yeah, so that is sub agents analogy for you, and agents analogy. Amazing diagram by them. So ADK tools basically include custom tools, function tools we just build, get fee for payment, and that I just forgot its name, what it was about calculating the change or revenue, whatever it was, I forgot it. Okay, and long running functions, I'll explain it to you so I don't have to explain it later on. So long running functions are basically functions. For example, there is a seller, there is a buyer. Akshansh is a buyer. Okay, so Akshansh goes to the seller and he tells the seller to produce 1 million quantity of something. Okay, 1 million worth of quantity, worth of something. And the buyer is like, this is sorry, the seller is like, this is such a huge order, are you really sure about this? So 1 million is the threshold for that seller. Like if buyer, that is Akshash right now, asking for some amount greater than 1 million or equal to 1 million, they will confirm it to Akshash, that is the customer, do you really want to go ahead with this order or not? Because this is a huge amount, you should rethink. And it's totally up to our buyer customer Akshansh to say yes or no. But if I am Akshansh, if Akshansh goes to him or her and says, hey, I just want 10,000 pieces, and then the seller is like, yeah, okay, have them placed. So that was basically lower than the threshold set by the seller. That's why. And then we have agent tools. That is basically our calculation agent, the built-in function that we built, right? The code, built-in code executor, we first generated a code, and the code executor ran that code to avoid any mathematical errors. MCP tools, think of what MCP tools is. I'll this The whole next Codelab will have a dedicated section on it, and all of these others also, but especially on this. So yeah, I won't be explaining it here. And open API tools are basically you'll be requesting to REST APIs that are built by other developers and getting the output. It is just basically like built out tools. Okay, basically tools built by you as form of APIs and hosted somewhere else so you can access it. And now built-in tools we have here, I don't really have to explain it to you. Okay, so also yeah, built-in code executor was a built-in tool, and we used that built-in tool from all the way here to this calculation agent. That is how it worked. You can read all of this, and yeah, we are done with day two's first code lab. I'm really sorry, I'm still stuck at day one. Yeah, we are done with it, so let's go ahead with day two's code lab number B. Edit my copy. Yeah, here's this option, this three more dots. You can go here and you can open in Colab. If this editor fails to load, you can just, Colab is basically like Kaggle notebooks, but it's on colab.google.com. But yeah, Colab and Kaggle both are owned by Google, so they are the same thing, but they have different servers, right? So that might work. It worked for others, it will also work for you. Not also, I'm not sure, but yeah, if it works, it's just great. Then they're just explaining random stuff. You can read all that. I'm not going to waste my time there. Otherwise, the duration of the video will be off the charts. Again, we don't have our API key here. Run it for once. Okay, setup got completed. We don't see our key here. Must be there. The UI didn't work properly. I'm really confused with Kaggle's UI sometimes. I really get confused, but yeah, it's alright. So yeah, let's just run this. Okay, it ran really fast. Probably because we imported all of this in last Codelab. They have it saved on their servers to make our work easier. Again, we checked this in the last Codelab I explained to you. Now we have MCP's model context protocol. That is why I wasn't explaining it to you back then, the last Codelab. So take it off as basically it is a place which provides you two of the services. First is MCP client and the second is MCP server. MCP client is basically your agent that is using the tools, and MCP server are the servers are basically the place where these tools are stored. So imagine there's some server and client is your agent. You're not in the picture right now. Imagine a server, imagine your agent as client. Your agent is a MCP client. It requests the MCP server, and MCP server has all the tools that your agent needs stored, and it just gives back the response. That's how it works. You can read this stuff. So basically we are just running this MCP tool here. You can see a lot of MCP tool list in this everything MCP server list. You can see more server examples here. You can check those out, and I'll explain this piece of code. I'll try to. So basically it is running a command basically. to only get this function, we only need this get tiny image function, and it get it sets a tool filter, and the arguments are this special npm package, and this is basically yes or no. So basically imagine npx also has a long running function, and it asks you, I am downloading additional 200 MB of this package, are you really sure you wanna waste all that data? You are like, yes please, and yep, then you can just run this. Yes, and if I were to not add it, then my code would get stuck. Yeah, so let's run this, and you can read all this. Basically what I told you, they're explaining it here. And we just configured our LLM agent. Now we'll set up. Okay, so I ran this code lab earlier. I think I forgot to reset it. Let it be. What happened? Yeah, we basically had it configured. I'll be having a lot of error. You won't have this error, don't worry. This is basically because I'm running this all over again, that's why I'm getting these errors. Didn't get it this time, the rerun fixed it. And you can just run this also to get output. Image above is tiny, so you get the image as a type of what we call it, dictionary. It returns it as a dictionary. Yep. And you can run this code block then, and this will basically a 16x16 image. Where do they define it? Yeah, base 64 16x16 pixels image. It will be really small. They basically are going to produce that, but here we have the image as a data, and here they output that decode that base 64 is an encoding for files images. So they just decoded it. You can see that really small image here. You can just zoom and see it's generated. And now here they are talking about more MCP servers. So a great place to find MCP servers is Kaggle MCP servers. It is a large place for data sets and network operations. For example, you must have heard about Titanic data set. If you are what do I say, if you are keen about data science or data sets, you must have. And what is this long running operations? Okay, so I explained it this to you in the last code lab, that Akshansh and seller analogy. So they are basically going to do that. Yeah, so look, this is our order threshold. They have it to have 5. They have set it to 5, and they're defining this place shipping order function. Num containers should be an integer, destination should be an string, and tool context will be a boolean. I'll tell you what it is later on. And the output will be a dictionary, and this is basically a doc string, so agent can do help and this function, and it can understand all of this. So yeah, they basically create 3 scenarios. First is, if when the seller get the order is of 10,000 less than a million, that was his threshold, he or she just placed the order. If the threshold is increased, they go back to Akshay, they ask him yes or no. If And then scenario 3, if Akshansh is like yes, place it, no, don't place it. And this is just a great diagram for understanding what I just yapped about. And now let's configure our LLM agent. Shipped agent configured, shipping agent created, and resumable app creator. So what resumable app does is basically, now each cell will be called, each call, not each call will be independent with no memory of previous interactions, basically no memory. Okay, so this is the problem statement. There was no history with us. I talked to you about this, like that news thing when I was interacting with my agent and it couldn't provide the current news it didn't have. I talked about it in the starting of the Codelab 2A. So yeah, it's here. So basically we are creating an app so that the agent has all the history stored with it. So the code basically becomes reusable, and you can just read the recap here. And we are approximately done with the code lab. There's just some more code left. They're basically defining more agent functions, sorry, helper functions. For this example, this is check for approval, and then we have print agent response yes or no, and create approval response. What the response would be if they say yes. And this is basically a diagram of how the functions will run. I told you that analogy, no, you don't have to view it, but you can if you want to. And this is our main place. So basically they are defining a run shipping workflow, that is our long function, and query would be a string, that input would be a string, and then auto approve is basically what the user says. If they say approve yes, true, yes, do it. If they return false, don't do it. And by default it would be set to true. And they're just doing all those scenarios here, you can see it. Let's just run it. I forgot. You can run all this. I explained this analogy to you. Now yeah, gotta delete this code first. I'll show you. You must have a different code here. Just a second. You must have it like this: is equal to true and approve is equal to false. You must have had this, or maybe false here, true here. So if you run this, actually you'll see the output. Okay, so first our threshold was 5. Okay, so 3 allow it, but 10 stop. Wait, we need to think about this. Pausing for approval, you see, it paused for approval, and we did auto approve true, hence true. And for the third we rejected it, so reject. But in real case scenario you cannot do this actually. What you'll do then, basically, if you were making this in production, just a second, you would actually let the user have the authority to give its input or output, hence this code. So let me just run it with this code that I added. So this is why you should experiment. You learn that, yeah, they taught me this whole thing. Sorry, just a second. Okay, I missed. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, I was clicking CTRL plus U. Yeah, so control plus Y. So basically what they were doing it, they were hard coding our choices here, but we are gonna give the authority of the choice to the user now. So basically, in order to, so basically for our this function, do we want to say yes or no? So I'll go with true here, and as you can see, decision approved, and I can go with true here also, and it will also get approved, right? Also, what you can do, if you don't done with today's code labs, both of the code labs 2A 2B. Sorry, my recording just stopped for some reason.